A little bit about me. One of the reasons why I do have a 6-page long resume, although I don't really know if it's actually 6 pages, I'll have to write it out completely sometime, is because I never really had a passion for any particular industry or type of job or vocation when I was younger. I always had a passion for writing, but it never occurred to me that I could turn that into a career through journalism until too late. By the time I got into the journalism business, the internet was taking hold and wiping away all the newspaper ad revenue, and I wasn't able to pivot in the right direction in time. Yeah, newspapers quickly became those places where once a person was laid off, they weren't replaced. Once a person retired, their position wasn't replaced. Everything was amalgamated into one central location. No newspapers had their own printing presses anymore, etc. Everything just, I was about to say slowly died, but it was actually a pretty quick process for some of these newspapers. The ones that are holding on, well, it must mostly be like a baby boomer population that keeps on buying them from the newsstands. So I didn't pivot in time. Pivoting involved not moving away to where I might be able to get a job. So I found myself in the unhappy position of finding any job I could to pay the bills. So I went from typing on a keyboard and writing feature stories to bagging groceries and collecting shopping carts from parking lots. I ended up working in call centers. When that turned out to be a meat grinder where they go through 300% of their staff every year, I got construction and other blue-collar kinds of jobs. Something consistent with all of these jobs was that the money was never good enough to stick around if the environment proved challenging. After a couple of years of doing that, and definitely avoiding any kind of pyramid scheme that would come along, and after a couple of years of doing that, the resume started to look pretty hefty. At the time, I didn't see anything wrong with putting every single employer I had down there because it showed that I had some experience here, some experience there, this field, that field. So when I would apply for other jobs, I would just put the whole thing on there. It also helped that I had reasonably good education, so I was getting calls based on that alone. And then it became par for the course to always have my resume updated while applying for other jobs or whatever I saw. It became like a pastime, almost a hobby. I became pretty good at it too. It seemed like I always had some kind of other offer or other lead in the bag. But I'll always remember getting a call one afternoon from somebody I applied to. Actually, it was, from what I recall, it was a pretty good company, a job I was interested in. You never know. You always have that glimmer of hope that one of the jobs you apply to will turn into something long-term, maybe even a career, even though I had no idea what that was. So after the perfunctory greetings, blah, 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 polite tones, etc., he said, yeah, looking at your resume here, looking at all your jobs, and I'm just wondering what you think I'm going to ask you. And without missing a beat, I said, when can I start? He laughed genuinely at that, but kind of recouped and went back into, I'm going to browbeat you kind of tone. And the phone call quickly degenerated into, why'd you call me up? You have like a free 10 minutes and you just want to make yourself feel better talking to somebody who's had a bunch of different jobs. And then I would say it never really got better. But my frame of mind has always been that if you read back anything I say, it will sound neutral or polite. It's a legitimate question. Like, why did you bother calling me up if this was the way you were going to act? And he would say things like, well, we're looking for somebody that has like a proven dedicated record. And it's like, well, I am somebody who has a proven dedicated record of moving to where I think my job needs suit me best. If I get treated well and if the pay is good, and I think I applied to your company because the pay looked good, then I will stick around. It's as simple as that. I think it's widely accepted now that in the whole public consciousness when it comes to like job hunting or careers that applicants don't apply with the same loyalty that they would have, say, 30 or 40 years ago. I mean, that was something for the baby boomers. It doesn't exist anymore for the later generations. People apply to get jobs to pay the bills. And most of the time, the jobs don't even pay the bills. As I said before, my actual passion in my youth and in my current state, aged, is writing. With my recent novel, Larry's Cabin, I crafted a character who I consider damn near close to a perfect boss. His name's Garrett Hayes, and he takes all of his nearest and dearest work chums out for a team-building camping trip in the thick Maine woods. Nothing but good intentions. Even with all the good intentions in the world, you never know what's really out there.